Hey everyone, Timo here. Today I'm reviewing the Auk Mini, a small hydroponic system that caught my attention recently. I've been using it for a while now and I wanted to share my honest thoughts, the good, the bad, and everything in between. So I first came across the Auk Mini through a Facebook ad that kept popping up as I was scrolling. It looked like one of those compact hydroponic or aeroponic systems, but what stood out to me was that it was open. And what I mean by that is that you don't have to buy any proprietary seed pods or refills. You can just use your own cocoa core. Is that how you say it? Cocoa core, and add your own seeds. And so you're good to go. It comes with a full spectrum light, a water reservoir, and four pots that you fill with the cocoa fiber. And it's a really simple setup. So, why I bought it? I've seen plenty of these smart gardens before, like the Aero Garden and other hydroponic kits. But what always turned me off were the pumps. Pumps fail, and when they do, it's hard to find a replacement that fits your specific model. And sometimes these companies they go out of business, so you're kind of screwed. Another issue that I've had is with integrated lights. And so once those LEDs burn out, you usually have to go back to the manufacturer. And so I prefer things that are repairable and modular. And I actually had reached out to the company, Auk, and asked exactly how long their lights were kind of guaranteed for. And I got a response back, and they said that they're warranted up to 10 years. And if there's ever a problem, that you can send it back to them and they'll replace it at no cost, which was really cool. So that's why the Auk Mini immediately stood out to me. There's no pumps, there's no moving parts, and the light is replaceable should it fail in like 10 years. So it's a simple static system. You fill the reservoir with water and nutrients, put in your pots, turn on the light, and it just works. So for me, this was about growing fresh herbs indoors during the winter, things like basil, thyme, rosemary, sage, and oregano. So I can keep cooking with fresh ingredients year round. Now, the design and build quality. The design is clean and minimalist, which I really appreciate. A lot of hydroponic systems look bulky or overly futuristic. And with the Alc Mini, this one actually blends in really nicely to your home decor, at least mine. I got mine in white with walnut accents, and it matches my dining room furniture perfectly. It doesn't look like a science experiment sitting on your counter. And I like that it's understated, kind of Scandinavian, modern design, which is a win. Now, as far as performance, right? Does it actually work? And yes, it absolutely does work. It does what it says it does. I started with the basil seeds that came in the box, and they sprouted beautifully. The roots developed quickly, and the plants grew strong under the Alc Mini's light. And about every 8 to 10 days, I've been trimming and harvesting plenty of basil leaves. I use some fresh, and for the rest, I chop them up and freeze them in olive oil cubes. Perfect for cooking later. That's been one of my favorite parts of using this system with basil is I just take the extra basil, chop it up real finely, stick it in some ice cubes with oil, freeze them, and then bag them for later use. That really works really well. I also experimented with cuttings. I rooted thyme and rosemary stems that I had grown outside. I just stuck them into the cocoa coir and they took off. That's when I realized this system isn't just for seed starting, it's great for propagating plants too. So if you've got a garden and you're in the East Coast and you're planning for your garden, you can start using the alk to do stuff for your upcoming growing season, which is really cool. Right now, I've got one Auk Mini dedicated to just growing basil. There's 12 plants. I space them out three to a pot, and another Auk is growing rosemary, thyme, parsley, and oregano, and everything's thriving. And I really like the way I set it up. And if you watch some of the Auk ads, they actually show like hundreds of little tiny basil plants. And I think that's more for marketing so that they can show how full and nicely filled the pot is. But I think with growing so many little tiny plants together, they get crowded. And so you're only going to get tiny leaves. So it looks good for a commercial. That's why I decided to just go 3 basil leaves for each pot. That way I could get real nice big basil. Now, durability and maintenance. Auk Mini claims that LED light lasts around 10 years, and the company told me if it ever fails, they'll replace it for free. That's a really nice touch. Because there are no pumps, there's very little that can go wrong with the system, and I really like that. The only thing I've really had to do is manage a little surface mildew that came that was formed on the coco coir. So I just spray it with a 1-to-1 mix of hydrogen peroxide and water once or twice a week, and that keeps the surface of the coco coir nice and clean. At one point, the basil roots grew so much that they blocked the little water level indicator wheel in the reservoir, and that was an easy fix. I just trimmed the roots back by about a third, and it's been fine ever since. No funky smells, no gunk buildup. Maintenance is really minimal. As far as things to improve, the price is definitely on the higher side for what you're getting, especially since it's such a simple setup. But I guess that's part of the cost, right? They designed it really nicely. But on the flip side, that simplicity also means it'll probably last a long time. So there are no motors or pumps to fail. And the only real consumable part is the light. The only other issue I've noticed is that the little screw on the water fill lid started to rust slightly. It's not a deal breaker, but I'd love to see Alk maybe use a stainless steel or maybe a plastic hardware handle so there is nothing to rust since it's going to be kind of in that water reservoir and getting humid. Overall, I'm really impressed with the Auk Mini. It's clean, simple, and functional. It looks great, it performs well, and it's super easy to maintain. If you're into modern design and want an indoor herb garden that doesn't scream lab experiment, this is a fantastic option. My only complaints, again, are the price and that little tiny bit of rust on the lid screw, but honestly, that's minor. I would highly recommend the Auk, especially if you want something low maintenance that looks good in your home and just works and gives you some nice herbs. That's my full review of the Auk Mini. If you found this helpful, drop a like, leave a comment, and let me know what you're growing indoors this season. Thanks for watching.